Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Anthony Carlisle. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, as residents struggle to recover from the flooding that swamped large areas of Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers deliver more aid to victims of the deluge. In our in-depth series of reports from Indonesia's capital city, we find out what life is like for an ordinary resident of Jakarta. And a severely hearing impaired child who is now a talented soap maker plans to open a sheltered workshop in Taiwan. Heavy rain and overflowing rivers have flooded hundreds of towns and villages in Malaysia. So far, 3 people have been reported dead in Johor. This has been the country's most severe flood since 2006, which was dubbed the worst flood in a century. Tzu Chi volunteers rushed to 6 of the worst-hit areas, preparing aid for 354 households. Grateful victims donated what they could to the famous bamboo coin banks, generating a cycle of giving and receiving.
Saya mau tengok dinding belakang tu, tengok punya rumah hancur. Banjir bahaya.
Torrential rain beginning on January 29th paralyzed many areas in Malaysia, including Malacca, Johor and Negeri Sembilan states. More than 30,000 residents in Johor alone have been evacuated to 202 disaster relief centers. Unfortunately, 3 people are reported to have been killed. Many suburban areas of Malacca are submerged in half a story of water. Tzu Chi assembled 2 teams to deliver aid to Seri Pangkalan and Seri Bayu.
These blankets are made of PET bottles.
Daily necessities including blankets, towels, toothpaste and toothbrushes, as well as 200 ringgits of emergency cash are given to disaster victims to help them rebuild their lives.
We couldn't bring a lot of things. The most important thing is that our lives are saved.
As a token of their appreciation, some flood victims are also reciprocating the love they received by donating what they can to the bamboo coin banks.
I'm deeply moved. Though it's not a big amount, I donated this money wholeheartedly.
Meanwhile, 6 days of continuous rain and tamping have flooded many villages. Volunteers go door to door to deliver blankets and emergency cash.
Though our homes were flooded, the most important thing is that our families are safe.
Lacking dry clothes, the flood victims are thrilled to receive warm blankets. Volunteers plan to hold 6 aid distributions a day, so the lives of these 354 families may return to normalcy as soon as possible.
As a second wave of flooding threatens Malacca in southern Malaysia, many areas of the state are paralysed and houses are submerged in water. Besides delivering aid packages to victims, local Tzu Chi teams are also helping their fellow volunteers in their hour of need, hoping to minimise everyone's losses. After days of consecutive rain in Malacca, Malaysia, floodwater is creeping into people's homes. Worried about this community close to a dam, volunteers come to help fellow Tzu Chi people.
When we knew it was a high tide and there was continuous rain for 3 days, we thought we should contact the volunteers here immediately and see what help they need. Anand is still sick. She only has a daughter at home with her. Her husband is not back yet. We're very worried because we don't know when the water will rush in. So we moved her sofa upstairs.
This is really sweet. Thank you, everyone.
Besides taking care of old friends, the flood relief team also helped out other neighbours along the way. In just 4 hours, 7 households were prepared for the worst. It's the first day of the Chinese Year of the Rabbit today. As ethnic Chinese communities around the planet prepared for the festivities, volunteers in Vietnam brought some holiday joy to their care recipients. In Ho Chi Minh City, having just concluded their winter relief distribution, the volunteers again brought supplies to just over 1,000 households in 6 areas of the city.
In Vietnam, every time before Chinese New Year, local Tzu Chi volunteers always have plenty to do.
We are so very happy today to be able to come here and cultivate a harmonious relationship with you.
To make sure their care recipients can enjoy the holiday, volunteers are bringing them food and family warmth. At the same time, the care recipients are reminded to help protect the planet. 71-year-old Grandma Nguyen lives alone. Although she has no family of her own to care for her, every Tzu Chi volunteer is like her own children. Cooking oil, instant noodles, oatmeal, sugar and other daily supplies are given out, and let us not forget the New Year necessity, red envelopes. The volunteer's sincere and respectful attitude touched the recipient. A visually impaired care recipient reciprocates by offering her beautiful voice. In total, over 1,000 care recipient households in 6 different locations in Ho Chi Minh City received supplies from Tzu Chi, making this new year ever more joyous and meaningful.
In Indonesia's capital of Jakarta, an average person makes just over $120 a month. However, a tiny apartment, about 26 square meters in size, costs just over $22,000 to buy. This means that in order to afford even a small home, most people would have to save up for 15 years without spending a penny. As well as the housing problem, Jakarta's traffic congestion makes even the worst jam in other big cities seem like speeding down the highway in comparison. In our continuing series of features from Indonesia's capital, we experience a day in the life of a Jakarta resident.
Outsiders who come to Jakarta to work will typically rent a studio apartment such as this one. Let's go and see what kind of living it is as we drop in on our friend who is staying in just such a place.
Hello, Yuan Yuan.
To save on rent, Yuan Yuan's studio apartment is just about 7 square meters in area. Her mattress has to be folded up when not in use. A multifunction foldable desk sits in one corner, and there is no air conditioning. Rent alone is 1/5 of her paycheck.
Of course, I have thought about buying a place of my own. It's only natural, but the way things stand, it's just not that simple. I have done a rough estimation, and the way things are, God knows how many years I will have to save up in order to buy a place.
To an ordinary person working in Indonesia's capital, owning a home seems an impossible dream. Alrighty, now we're gonna catch a ride and head for work. But let us not forget breakfast is the most important meal. If Yuan Yuan leaves home for work early enough, she will have a bowl of noodle at a nearby market first. She usually goes to a Chinese vendor for some hometown flavor. To catch a ride, first the muddy path must be overcome. Yuan Yuan has prepared a pair of slippers just for this occasion. Regular work shoes will simply be ruined here. A converted mini cargo van is a public transportation of choice and fits around 13 people.
到公司有没有花过最长的时间是多少？2个小时。要花2个小时。
Getting off a cramped van, we make our way into another one. Loud honking, congested roadways, polluted air and tight space, the situation is less than ideal and happens every day. The ride from Yuan Yuan's home to work takes over an hour, but compared to Taiwan, the distance would typically only be about 15 minutes. Life is truly not easy for an ordinary person in Jakarta.
Back in May 1998, in the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis, Indonesia was gripped by riots. Demonstrators turned their anchor against businesses, with ethnic Chinese owners taking the brunt of the violence. Realizing that the ultimate cause of the disturbance was the poverty gap, some overseas Chinese entrepreneurs decided to help provide livable housing for slum dwellers in Jakarta. In our next story, we introduce you to 2 of those pioneers, the Executive Director and the Deputy Executive Director of the Indonesian Tzu Chi chapter, Liu Su-mei and Guo Zaiyuan. One is a shoe factory and printing shop owner, and the other is a billionaire businessman, but both devote the majority of their time to volunteering for Tzu Chi.
When she sees poor children who are staying in school thanks to scholarships from Tzu Chi, the executive director of the Indonesian chapter, Liu Su-mei, can't help smiling.
Every one of us comes from different family backgrounds, and every family has its own problems. But as long as you study hard in school and you're a good student, I believe no matter how hard life is for your parents, they will be proud of you.
The power of charity to transcend ethnic boundaries is something Liu Su-mei fully understands. Anti-Chinese sentiments used to be high in Indonesia. When Liu and her husband came here to open a factory over 20 years ago, they were caught up in the ethnic riots.
The wealth gap was too wide, which is why the 98 riots took place, and a lot of businesses were looted. Of course, most overseas Chinese are in business. The master tells us you have to use love to stop hatred, which means we have to spread the seeds of great love to stabilize society.
Realizing that they have to give back to the country where they were making a living, overseas Chinese entrepreneurs throw themselves into charity work. Here at the Indonesian Tzu Chi chapter, the Deputy Executive Director, Guo Zaiyuan, only just touched down in Jakarta after a business trip, but has 3 meetings on charity and healthcare to attend. Guo says he only started to understand the poverty gap after he took part in a Tzu Chi distribution in 2002.
Before I joined Tzu Chi, I knew they delivered direct aid, so I had to hand it out myself. I went with my wife and some company staff to distribute hot food. When I saw that place, I was shocked. Only when I got close did I realize what their lives were like. No wonder the 98 anti-Chinese riots happened.
Today, Guo has invited around 50 second-generation business people to a charity meeting.
This is the first time I've come into contact with Tzu Chi, but I heard about Tzu Chi's charity work before. What moved me was that when there was an earthquake in North Sumatra, Tzu Chi helped rebuild a school. As the master says, everyone has a charitable heart, but they need to be inspired into action.
The overseas Chinese entrepreneur Guo Zaiyuan helped build a new settlement for slum dwellers along Jakarta's Anchor River. Now Guo is recruiting local business people to the charitable cause.
On this day, the 3rd of February, in the 15th century race to rule the waves, Portuguese explorer Bartholomew Dias rounded the Cape of Good Hope on the southernmost tip of Africa on this day in 1488. The discovered route would open up trade between Europe and India. Cancer victim Lin Hui-min was in her 50s when she signed the papers to donate her body to Tzu Chi Hospital for scientific research on this day in 1995, turning a new page in medical education in Taiwan. A fierce earthquake measuring 7 on the Richter scale killed 309 people and damaged over 1 million buildings in China's Lijiang city. Tzu Chi volunteers immediately went to assess the situation and distributed bedding and clothes to the victims. After Hurricane George tore through the Caribbean in 1998, Tzu Chi volunteers went to the Dominican Republic to deliver aid and medical help. As part of long-term recovery, La Romana Tzu Chi School officially opened on this day in the year 2000. In 2010, the school started offering night classes. Venerable Master Sheng Yen, the founder of the Dharma Drum Mountain Foundation, died on this day in 2009 at the age of 80. Following his philosophy of spiritual conservation to the end, in his will he asked that no memorial be built in his name. Yet the Master's followers continue his teachings until today. It's Chinese New Year's Day today. Prior to celebrating the festival, Tzu Chi volunteers around the world held year-end blessing ceremonies in their local communities. In Jakarta, Indonesia, volunteers combined the sign language musical, the Sutra of Profound Gratitude to Parents, with their year-end gathering. The events attracted a total of over 8,000 people from all walks of life.
To welcome the Chinese New Year, Tzu Chi volunteers young and old put on a musical of the Sutra of Profound Gratitude to Parents in Jakarta, Indonesia. Over 100 volunteers and Tzu Chi participated in the performance. Through the musical, Tzu Chi, Chen Shouqing repents of her past behavior.
While I was performing, I felt really sad. It wasn't that someone had hurt my feelings or anything. It was that I came to realize all the mistakes I've been making. What I can do now is to be grateful that my mother is in good health and I can fulfill my filial duties.
From the performance to the audience, everyone is inspired in a different way.
I'll never forget my parents because they've given me a lot of support and encouragement. It's because of them that my accomplishments today are possible. I believe everyone here feels the same way as I do. This show is really meaningful because it's a reminder for us to be grateful to our parents and also to fulfill our filial duties. To be honest, as a son, I still don't know how to be good to my parents.
This year-end blessing ceremony not only brought families closer together, but helped participants gain an understanding of the importance of conservation work in a play mindfully prepared by volunteers.
Saya tidak mau hidup di atas tumpukan sampah. Hemat energi.
Over 8,000 people from all walks of life attended the event and were inspired by the musicals and plays. The message was that conservation work and filial duties are life lessons that cannot wait.
As a thorough house cleaning is customary before Chinese New Year, Tzu Chi recycling stations all over Taiwan have been inundated with unwanted clutter and junk, which means overtime for the environmental volunteers. To ease their burden on the day before New Year's Eve, the CEO of Da-ai Television, as well as the deputy CEOs and department directors, went to the Neihu recycling station in Taipei to wish volunteers a happy new year. The media workers offered a helping hand to thank the environmentalists for their hard work and helping generate funds for the station. Recycling volunteers are actually the real bosses of Da-ai TV.
Just before the Lunar New Year's Eve, Da-ai TV CEO Tang Jianming and department directors take a trip to the Tzu Chi recycling station in Neihu, Taipei, bringing with them season's greetings and a helping hand. Huddling around a box of used paper for sorting, Da-ai TV's department directors learn as they work, and when in doubt, they ask the more experienced recycling volunteers for help. It took a good half an hour before the team of 5 went through an entire box of waste paper.
Volunteers give up a lot of their own time for this work, so we're really grateful for them. We salute them as our teachers.
Look at how clumsy we are. We're not being very helpful here, but we still try to do our part to show recycling volunteers our appreciation.
I recycle at home, but after coming here and doing it, I realized how little I've done and how unprofessional I've been about recycling. Today has been a learning experience for me.
As for the recycling volunteers, they are only too happy to receive help from Da-ai TV staff.
We're very grateful for them. Since we are Da-ai's bosses, we should be giving them year-end bonuses, but instead, they brought us gifts. We really appreciate it.
Putting on helmets and gloves, the Da-ai TV CEO climbs onto the truck to help unload recyclables, while his colleagues pass the goods along for sorting in a relay of love that signifies a great beginning for the new year.
Not to be outdone by the TV executives, medical staff at Tzu Chi Hospital also put on their volunteer uniforms and went to the recycling station to help sort paper and plastic. After a hard morning's work, the tired staff promised they would come back in the future to do their part for the planet.
Mindfully sorting recyclable items, these are medical staff from the Tzu Chi Hospital. Some staff even came to join the conservation work straight after their night shift, doing their best to save lives and our environment.
Through the process of everyone participating together, we find out how much rubbish we create and realise we should cut down on carbon emissions by reducing the amount of garbage.
Every Saturday, the hospital invites staff and their family members to join the recycling work. No one complains and instead are all relishing in the joy of giving. Here at the recycling station, minds are purified through the process of sorting recyclables.
In our last report today, we go to Yunlin County in Taiwan to meet Wu Peining, who was born severely hearing impaired. Unwilling to give up on their little girl. Since she was 3 years old, Peining's parents began taking her all the way to a special school for the hearing impaired in the city of Tainan. The young girl didn't let her family down. Developing an interest in handmade soap, she started her own workshop and is planning to open a sheltered factory.
Mindfully putting all the ingredients together, blending some colours and voila, a chunk of handmade soap is ready to use. Here at Wu Peining's soap workshop in Yunlin, Taiwan, soaps of different colours and shapes can be seen. Peining is even planning to open a sheltered factory for the hearing impaired. Born severely hearing impaired, Wu Peining's dad took her from Yunlin all the way to the Tainan school for the hearing impaired since she was 3 years of age.
Finding a career of her interest for us parents, it feels like no matter how hard it's been, it's now all tears of joy.
Every child is a priceless gift to their parents, and Wu's mother even planted vanilla in her garden so that her daughter can use the flowers as part of her ingredients. Wu Peining soaps are not only made from natural ingredients, but are also filled with love.
When we have handicapped children, we parents should be strong and always be optimistic. We actually learn together with our daughter.
Love overcomes all barriers. Wu Peining's workshop is surrounded in natural fragrance, artistic handcrafts, love and kindness.
It's Chinese New Year's Day today. To get ready for the annual New Year's Eve dinner at the Tzu Chi abode in Hualien, Taiwan, nuns and volunteers got up very early in the morning to prepare the food. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching Dai Headlines. Goodbye and happy Year of the Rabbit.